asked us at the time, and we were like, yep, let's do it.
At the time, we'd been a band for about 2 months before we were about to go into the studio and record, and none of us had ever recorded before.
I was like, as if they're even going to be able to work out the recording situation, because at that time I think Think Straight had recorded demos in the Parkway basement on like a 4-track.
Pretty much, if you trace everything back that's happened in this band's entire existence, it comes down to that point in time when Parkway offered us a helping hand.
The band's so much better now, but back then it was just ridiculous what I was hearing. I was just like, holy shit, like, this could well be the best fucking band I've heard.
The next thing after releasing the split was touring. For 5 kids from Byron, that's something you never even hear about.
It was just good to be on the road. We'd never done it.
It was a lot of fun. We took a whole bunch of mates. I just recently bought a van.
We used to have to push start the van. You try it?
Dad is a doorknob.
Parkway were just acting like kids because half the band was like 15.
Didn't really know what to expect, didn't know where we were going, jumped off every bridge we could find.
Now I think about it, I was like, that was pretty much one of the most fun things ever because we were both such young bands and we just didn't give a shit.
We couldn't believe kids in Melbourne and Adelaide were actually getting into our music and moshing, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, I guess it was a fun first tour.
We had a couple of new songs and we thought, well, let's record again. And the only label in Australia that we really wanted to be associated with was Resist Records, which was run by a friend called Graham from Sydney.
You know, I knew the guys were sort of working on some music. They already sort of released a couple of sort of splits and a couple of compilation songs.
We were stoked to be on Resist because we knew Graham was just a good, legit guy. Like, he was come from a hardcore label. He wasn't in it for the money one bit because there was no money back then.
After we signed with Resist, Graham obviously wanted to put something out, so we decided to do an EP. We recorded it up in Brisbane.
That became the Don't Close Your Eyes EP. Don't Close Your Eyes was a big step for us.
You know, for something that I had no expectations on, it's definitely become one of the biggest sellers of the label.
It meant we had an actual solid release out there other than just 2 or 3 songs. So we started to tour more and we started trying to find any way we could to get to other towns just to play shows.
Because we started touring more, I guess at that point we started to really get to know each other better. And I guess we sort of found out some things about each other that we didn't know prior.
Winston is like the weird, mature guy of the band.
You can't talk about sex in front of him because it's like talking about it in front of your dad.
I think he might have no penis or several, we're not sure.
Him at bodyboarding used to be ridiculous. He used to go some of the biggest waves I'd ever seen.
Hanging with him one-on-one is always weird. Like, you run out of stuff to talk about in like a minute.
He's basically the personality of the band.
Really competent frontman. Best frontman in Australia, I think.
He comes across as a genuine dude, and that's the difference between him and a lot of other vocalists.
Jeff was always the odd one out.
It just seems like he can't think straight sometimes. He's just got these fucking little monkeys running around in his head.
Filthy, doesn't have much self-respect.
He has small man syndrome.
Does the biggest farts you've ever seen.
He's got hands of a 90-year-old, hair of a 70-year-old.
He's so dumb.
But for some reason he can play guitar, and I just don't get it.
Yeah, Ben's the stinky guy in the band. You can always smell him for about 2 metres.
To me, it was always just the little sweater that hung around with Big Brother and I.
He was this little weed that you could hardly even see behind the kid.
He's so bordering on being homosexual, it's not even funny. It's like -10. Gaz is just like flexing.
The good thing with Gaz is he's not a fucking drum dude.
He doesn't even like drums. He's only playing because no one else could.
Just hitting everything like a maniac.
Once Parkway's over, I don't even reckon he'll hit the drum.
Pig is a natural asshole.
He's a fucking shit guitarist, that's for sure.
He can be your best friend or your worst enemy on tour.
He's as much as the band's manager as Graham is.
Even though I think 95% of the time he's saying he's doing business, he's actually on MySpace.
He never practices guitar.
He's an arsehole.
If he wasn't the way he was, then the band would still be playing the Youthy to Three Goats.
The next step for us was recording.
We weren't too happy with the production of Don't Close Your Eyes, our last EP, and we just thought,
Why not try and record overseas? Why not try and get a producer?
I got Graham to email a few producers we thought of, and I didn't really expect much interest from the States because no one pretty much had any idea who we were.
Well, they basically wanted to sort of do something that was a bit different to what everyone else was doing. They didn't really want to go with the standard local guide.
One of us came up with the idea of hitting up this guy called Adam D. What we expected from sending an email to a producer that works with all these amazing bands and plays in this giant band was either nothing or an abusive no.
I chose to work with them because, well, you know, Australians talk funny, and it's always entertaining to listen to them.
Yeah, I was pretty excited because Killswitch Engage were my favourite band then, sort of still are.
It was just a surprise that he straight away said, yep, let's do it. When can they come out?
They were kind of cool. I liked their breakdowns.
And back then too, it was sort of not the done thing for a local band or an Australian band to head overseas to work with a producer of that sort of calibre.
For a band to kind of make that massive step, that massive financial step, go overseas and do it, everyone kind of went, all right, this is obviously serious.
It was pretty much make or break for this band.
Come on over, guys. We'll make a record in 2 weeks. Awesome.
I remember he was just such a perfectionist, it was ridiculous. He'd just be there and just say, nope, do it again.
Let's try it one more time.
I think we should do the whole thing again. Hell yeah! I pretty much knew I was getting into a lot of trouble. Recording a full-length record in 2 weeks is pretty much impossible.
We worked for around 14 hours a day. We wouldn't stop until about 1 every morning.
I was having like night terrors. I wasn't sleeping. I would like wake up screaming, like seeing waveforms of audio in my eyeballs and just hearing breakdown after breakdown.
It was a really good experience to have someone like that working with you.
Listen, fucking English. It's not English. I'm speaking Australian right now, mate.
He's a bit of a genius, really.
No.
It destroyed us as humans, but it created a record that we would never have been able to make without him.
The sound they got out of that record is fantastic. It stands up today. It's a huge, massive sound.
It debuted in the ARIA charts, it stayed in the independent charts for a long time, and a lot of this stuff just wasn't the done thing for heavy bands.
Pretty sure that's when shit just started to get fucking serious.
I think it sort of proved that you didn't have to write these pop songs to make people pay attention. What they did, they made good heavy music and they just made it more appealing.
It made everyone kind of stand up and take notice. Outside the hardcore scene, it was that record which took them beyond that kind of small insular scene and made other people kind of stand up and go, well, shit, this is pretty amazing.
In touring Australia, where we'd played every city that it was possible to play in.
We decided to do some more rural tours to get to the spots in between the major cities where not many bands would play.
We just thought, there's heaps of kids out there. Why don't we play shows in those towns?